Good afternoon. So the reason I started this channel was to share stories about my life, things that I've been through, things that I've experienced. I've had an amazing life, done a lot of really wonderful things. Been very fortunate enough to have done some things that I've never met anyone else who's done the same. So it's possible, I'm sure, but I haven't met anyone. So I want to share this story. When I was about 12 years old, so that would have been in about 1981, I was with my family in Omaha, Nebraska, at Offutt Air Force Base visiting some friends. Come from a military family, and we had some friends that were living there on base and were there visiting. So their son and I were out wandering around the base, and we happened to, as we were heading back toward the house, walk down General's Row. Those of you that don't know, General's Row is where the generals live. So we're walking down the road and we see, and back then, I don't know if they still do it today, but back then the generals had a sign out in front of their house with their name on it. So you had brigadier generals and lieutenant generals and major generals, and I don't remember how many generals were on this street. But as we got toward the end of the street, I saw a sign that said General Bennie Davis. And General Bennie Davis was a four-star general. So I'd never met a four-star general, and being about 12 years old and not afraid of anything, I walked up the sidewalk. Well, my buddy David said, "Hey, you can't knock on a four-star general's door." I said, "I'm going to." So I knocked on the door. And a nice lady opened the door, and she said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I've never met a four-star general, and I'd like to meet a four-star general. Is General Davis home?" And she says, "He is, just a minute." So she went back inside, and a few minutes later, a man walked out, just in his street clothes, and sat down on the deck of the porch there, on the perimeter of the porch, and had a conversation with two 12-year-old boys who were full of questions. And I can't tell you all of the questions that we asked. I'm sure they were from a 12-year-old's perspective. And all I remember was that the general was very nice, very pleasant, very friendly and welcoming, very good experience. I mean, it thrilled me as we were walking home that we had just met a four-star general, and he was so nice. So as we get back into the NCO portion of housing, we're heading up the street, and both his dad and my dad are out standing in the front yard with their arms crossed, watching us walk toward the house. And as we got up to the sidewalk, my friend said, his name was David, "Andy knocked on a four-star general's door." Well, they knew that, or they knew something, because they had received a call from headquarters, and they had been requested to be at headquarters at 8 a.m. the next morning. And the way that they were positioned there in the front yard with their arms crossed made me think that they thought they were in trouble, or that we were going to be in trouble. Of course, I didn't get that impression from the general, but maybe I did something wrong. So needless to say, it was a little tense that evening. So the next morning, we all got up, got dressed up, nice, and we headed into where the headquarters was, and we pulled up in front of the building. And as you're standing in front of the building, looking at the front doors, the two parking spots directly to the right were believed to be handicap spots. Had the signs changed, and our last names were on those signs. Welcome, the Wright family, welcome the Bennett family, and we had designated parking spots right out in front. Very impressive. So as we parked, we started to get out of our vehicles, and the doors opened, and a full bird colonel was standing there welcoming us into the building. He invited us all in, directed us into a room that was, if I remember correctly, right there as you enter, off to the right. It was a small theater. It probably, I don't know, probably could have sat 40 people maybe. I don't remember. I was 12. And I just remember it being fairly small. It seemed like maybe there were 8 church-style pews on each side and a walkway down the middle, and maybe walkways along the edges. And then there was like a movie screen up in front. And we watched about a 15-minute video about the history of Strategic Air Command. As soon as it was over, all the lights came on, both doors opened up, and that same colonel came back and introduced him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome General Bennie Davis. And in walked General Davis, dressed to impress, sharp. Boy, he looked sharp. When I saw him in his uniform like that, I mean, I was so impressed. I was like, oh, wow. It's like you can hear the angels, ah. It was incredible. And, of course, my dad and his dad stood up and saluted. So we had a nice little conversation, brief conversation there. The general, told them how thrilled he was that we had knocked on his door, and that, that it was, he wanted to bring us in and do something nice for us. Of course, obviously at this point, my dad and his dad have realized that they're not in trouble, and that, this is a rare invitation. So after, he answered some questions and stuff, he said he wants to take us somewhere that not many people get to go. So we followed him and his staff, and we walked through the corridors there of the headquarters building, and we got back to an area that was guarded by soldiers with guns. I remember there was a big, thick door, and at 12 years old, it was, I don't know, 4 feet thick or something like that, mechanically controlled, and we went through this door and into an elevator, and that elevator took us down underground, and I don't know how far we went, but we were underground. And when we came out, we were in the control center for Strategic Air Command. And if you can imagine it, those of you that have seen war games, that remember the multiple screens across the back, several layers, and then rows and rows of consoles with military folks in uniform down there, at their stations working. And up on the main center screens, it said, "Welcome the Bennett family and the Wright family." And I remember being overwhelmed and fascinated being able to see this. At the time, obviously, I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. And another reason why I'm sharing this story, I know as I get older, I start to forget details of things, and I don't want to forget these details. I want these details to be documented for others to be able to enjoy, down the road. So the general allowed David and I to both call any base we wanted in the world. I don't remember which base David called, but I called Greenland, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was Greenland, if my memory serves me correctly, and why I'm making these videos. So, yep, we were able to, spend a little time there in the command center, and then shortly after that, we followed the general back out of the command center, back into the elevator, back out through the massive door, past the armed guards, and back out to the front of the building, shook hands, and we left. Wonderful experience. I've never met anybody else who can say the same thing. In front of me, you can see some of the things over the years that I've collected. I really like Strategic Air Command. This is a very, very nice patch. I keep these things locked up and put away so that they don't see any sunlight, and they don't get any damage. When I was younger, I wasn't very good at taking care of things like I understand today. So I'm trying to keep this stuff flawless. This looks like it was a patch that was actually used. I see some discoloration. And this is a really nice all leather patch. a little bit padded up here at the top. It's stitched along each piece here. Each piece is stitched. This is stitched. That looks like it's drawn on. This is stitched here, here, and here. This cloud and this hand. This banner down below is all stitched on separately as well. I found these actually over the years at collectible shops and secondhand shops. Here's two pens, one with a lighter color background, one with a darker color background. Some of these are very old. Here's an old recruiter, U.S. Air Force recruiter matches. Yep. So I'll show you the photograph that's here in the background of General Davis. This is the photo that I received and David received. You can see at the bottom it says, "To Andy Bennett, a fine young man, all best wishes. Bennie Davis, General, U.S. Air Force, SINC-SAC, Commander-in-Chief, Strategic Air Command." He was the man. This guy ran Strategic Air Command. He was the top dog. So, quite an honor, for sure, to be able to have met him and to have that experience with him. 8 years ago, 6 years ago or so, I started looking for him. I wanted to find him and thank him as an adult for that experience. Actually, a friend of mine who was a little better at searching, I guess, than I was, found him, found that he had moved to Texas and retired and had passed away the year before. So I actually went online and found his obituary, and I paid for his obituary to be online forever. So if you find his obituary, his official obituary online, you'll find that my name is there. I paid for it so that it will be online forever. There's lots of great memories that have been written in the comments there in the guest book, and I enjoy going and reading them every once in a while. Of course, I told this story there in the comments, and is a reason for why I made the decision to pay for that. Again, I wanted to share the story so that not only my family that comes later, my ancestors, but also, people that I don't know who may be interested, people who may have known Bennie, General Davis, can hear the story and hear what a fantastic man, and anybody that worked for him or was around him, I'm sure, knew that he was a no-nonsense guy, all business, but he was a people's general. He took care of his people. He was good to his people, and it's just a rare privilege that somebody like me, some 12-year-old kid who I guess just wasn't really afraid of things, who wanted to take on challenges and wanted to try things that people said, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." I'm kind of still that way today. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be telling a lot of stories like this about my life, great experiences that I've had, bad experiences that I've had. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask below. I'll do my best to answer them. And more videos coming shortly. Thanks again.